Hey there.
Hey there.
Where are we at, Ashley?
Well, we are now in our hometown of Chattanooga.
Chattanooga.
In front of the Reed House, the beautiful historic hotel that's in downtown. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to take you out.
You got to check out.
Take you out.
Check out the maitre d'. If you can see him, he's actually loading the car over there. He's got a top hat on, a derby hat. He is the coolest. Whoever does that job during the day is the coolest, most elegant guy. And they will take you on a tour, a ghost tour, they say it's a tour, of the Reed Hotel if you're actually staying there as a guest.
Yeah, okay, but we don't really need a ghost tour when we got you.
That is true. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give you some of the history of this beautiful, elegant house that we, hotel, that we all of a sudden
It actually is a house to ghost, though.
It is. Well, it's a home to a special ghost for us. So I'm going to give you a little bit of the history. Then we're going to take you around the corner to show you that it's been here for 150 years. This is their 150-year celebration. And we're going to tell you about our experience in the Reed Hotel. So in 1872, the Crutchfield family created a hotel downtown Chattanooga. There was some kind of tiff between the brothers. One was a Union Confederate, one was a Confederate, and one was a Union, which was really odd. So they had a fight about that because, you know, we were in the Civil War. And they sold off the hotel. But then shortly after that, the Civil War was breaking out. So they had, this was once, as most buildings around here in Tennessee are, a Civil War hospital.
Oh.
And then later in the 1800s, the Reed family bought it, which was a doctor. And he incorporated his son, which we have a really cool story about because we had no idea that the son existed. So we were in the bar having our burgers and beers, and this man ghost sticks his hand right on the back of my right shoulder.
A man ghost.
An elegant man ghost.
Oh, yes.
So when he realized, when he was just brushing by, he put his hand on my shoulder and he started to walk away. When he realized, I said to Ashley, a man ghost just touched me, he turned around and came back. And he said, ladies, what are you doing this evening? And I said, we're enjoying your hotel. So the conversations always go a little triangulation because I talk, he talks, and then I talk to Ashley and relay everything. But as he's talking, he starts telling us about the glorious days of this hotel. And he tells us about the exquisite ballroom that's in the hotel. And he tells us about all the people that have been through the hotel. And he has such an elegant undertone, and his hair was really cropped, and he had on, it looked more, it wasn't more than a suit, it was more like a tux. And he was telling me about, I asked him about the ghosts, and he said, we don't have any interruptions in this hotel. Nobody interrupts in this hotel. And I will make sure myself that no one interrupts your sleep tonight. And fortunately, no ghost interrupted our sleep that night. Well, there was a lady that talked outside our room all night long, but that's a whole different story.
It wasn't a ghost.
She was real.
Yeah.
Gabbing away. But anyways, so I never get people's names or numbers or birthdays or anything. And he said, my name is Samuel. It's very nice to meet you. And I said to Ashley, this man's name is Samuel, and he's so cool. And the whole time I'm like telling her this stuff, I'm like this because I was chilled from head to toe. And he says, none of the disruptions happen in this hotel because we run it with a tight ship. You two should see our ballroom. It's beautiful. So we're like, we have to go check out the ballroom. And then as he's saying that, a bunch of kids, like 20-year-olds, start to walk by. And he says, except when people get peppered, we like to play with them. But it's all in good fun.
And peppered means
drunk.
Yeah.
So Ashley and I are on like this total ghost high. Like we just had a conversation with a really cool ghost who was very dapper, very elegant, twisted back in time. Not that he was twisted, but he was back in time. And Ashley the next morning is walking from a Starbucks. Yes, if you go to Reed Hotel, there's a lovely Starbucks around the corner.
And there's an amazing Starbucks, actually.
So she's walking back from the Starbucks. Now remember, I don't know anyone's names. I know nothing about anybody. So this guy told me his name was Samuel. I'm like, that's great. We know a name. Ashley's walking by, and what happened, Ash?
So there's a whole bunch of really cool old photos that are sitting in a glass case in this hotel. And I'm looking at pictures, and I'm just in awe because it's just so, the history's so cool here. And who do I come across but Sam Reed, aka our Samuel.
But later on I had to look him up because I'm like, who's this guy? And he goes by Samuel. So Years later, there's this woman, her name is Annalisa, and
We're getting to the good part. Okay, y'all, I'm listening.
She was, some will say she was a prostitute, some will say that she was the lover of this man's, and she lived up in one of those rooms up there. This is the old section, this is the redone section. So to the left is the old section, to the right is the redone section.
Yeah, I got you.
She was up in a room up there, and story goes that she had her throat slit in a bathtub and
Can
died.
you do that noise again, though? Oh, God.
But it was
I
kind of
don't
hanging.
think it sounds... Ah! Oh!
But she died up there, and then no one knew who killed her. Was it the lover that she was always with, or was it like somebody else? There was never anything that was said of why or how or who killed her. So she is the historic ghost in the Reed house. Now, 3 years, I think it was 3 years or 4 years after her death, Al Capone was, before he was waiting trial, was put up in the Reed house, and they put bars around it. It wasn't in like the 2000s until they took those bars down, like 2018 or something crazy.
Wow.
That were around the window. But there was never any reports of him seeing a ghost or anything like that. People, intuitives, psychics, mediums, they've all come in and said that Annalisa is an angry ghost. Well, I have a different version of her.
Give it.
So on our way out the door one day, out that door again, where most people say Annalisa's very angry, she's upset, we were walking out and there was an outline of a woman leaning over. There was a little real child right there, and she was leaning over and she was in awe. She was like this, looking at the child, and I was like, oh my God, there's Annalisa. Her whole outline was there. She looked at me, she looked right away, she looked back at the child, and poof, she was gone.
Poof?
Poof. She wasn't even there anymore. It was so cool. Anytime we go by now, we have a new friend at the Reed house that no one acknowledges. Now I have chills, so Samuel's watching us outside like he usually does. Hi, Samuel.
Hi, Samuel.